About the navigator's question, documents that are required to talk to them.
I think that probably what this stems from is a requirement to verify citizenship status and certain other factors when you apply and for benefit eligibility. I'm not certain what if the caller can't find their birth certificate or some other document that. I'm sure that the navigator, or if she would call the 1-800 number, that they could tell her what alternative documentation might serve in lieu of that, if that would help. But my suspicion is that's what's going on here.
Mr. Crowder?
I think there's nothing to say beyond what Keith just said. It's probably the requirement in the law that says you got to be a citizen, and they have to, or citizen or a legal resident, and you have to prove that in some way. And these are probably the easiest ways to prove it. And if you can't provide those, I'm sure they have fallback mechanisms.
Oh, yeah. We've been spending the time talking with Keith Fontenot of the Brookings Institute and James Capretta of the American Enterprise Institute. Thanks so much, gentlemen, for joining us to talk about the Affordable Care Act and its implementation.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Up next, J. David Cox of the American Federation of Government Employees will join us to discuss the government shutdown. And on Newsmakers this week, the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee was joining us. Here's a preview of Congressman Hensarling's discussion of where Congress is now in the standoff over the budget and debt ceiling.
Well, regrettably, my crystal ball is a little fuzzy. I do know that House Republicans have now put one offer on the table, a second offer, a third offer, a fourth offer. We are not through negotiating, but I think we are through negotiating with ourselves. Regrettably, the president called over congressional leaders a day before yesterday just to tell them in person what he'd already told them in public, and that was we refuse to negotiate. Ultimately, I don't believe that's what the American people believe in divided government. House Republicans want a few simple things. Number one, we expect to negotiate. Under our Constitution, it is Congress that has the power of the purse. It is not the power of the rubber stamp. House Republicans will negotiate in good faith, but we're not going to rubber stamp necessarily what the president and Senator Harry Reid want to do. Second of all, obviously Obamacare is a huge divisive factor within our nation. Regrettably for House Republicans, it's not going away as long as President Obama is president. But in our last offer, what we said was, if Obamacare is going to be imposed upon the nation, then it ought to be imposed equally. Equal protection under the laws. No special deal for big business, big labor unions, and no special deals for Washington elites while working Americans are having to suffer through this program. But ultimately what this is really about is tens of millions of our fellow countrymen underemployed, unemployed in this weak, tepid recovery, and it's about trillions and trillions of debt. We're on the road to bankruptcy. There are people in Washington who always say, oh, no, don't rock the boat, just put this off till tomorrow. Well, we can't put it off till tomorrow. The opportunity on both the continuing resolution and the debt ceiling is to deal with improving our economy and putting us on the road to fiscal solvency today. Today's the time to seize the moment.
Washington Journal continues.
And we'll continue our discussion on the government shutdown now with J. David Cox. He's the president of the American Federation of Government Employees. That's the largest federal workers union. Mr. Cox, how many federal employees does your union actually represent?
We represent about 670,000 federal employees nationwide.
And of those, how many are being furloughed right now as a result of the shutdown?
Approximately 50% of them are being furloughed, and the other 50% are being required to go to work and are being told they will not be paid on payday.
And when those folks come and talk to you and ask you about how this is all going to end, what do you tell them?
I'm telling them, number one, that we're working very hard. We've got bipartisan support on the Hill for legislation that would definitely back pay all federal employees, and we believe we'll be able to get that legislation to move. But I'm also telling them to call every member of Congress every day. Our members want to go to work. They want to be back processing Social Security claims. They want to be on the job preparing for this hurricane that's coming, and to make sure that FEMA is ready to do the things for the American people. We want to be inspecting the food and protecting this country from the hardened criminals that's in the federal penitentiaries. We want to be doing our jobs.
That bill that you referred to, that's going to be on the House floor today. What's the time frame that you're hearing on when that might make it to the president, and will the president sign it?
I believe very strongly that the president will sign it. The White House had issued